As we covered in the last session, when someone has a disability that's covered by the Equality Act, their employer has a legal obligation to make any reasonable adjustments they can. But what does that actually mean? Well, let's look at the two words independently. First, what's an adjustment? Well, that's a bit easier to understand. An adjustment is something that the employer can do on either a temporary or a permanent basis that will help the employee to do their job. It should be aimed at removing or just reducing any disadvantage that they're at due to their disability. There are many possible examples of adjustments, but these could include things like working at a different desk or altering working hours, providing access to assistive technology, or perhaps even allowing a longer amount of time to complete work. Occupational health will usually advise on suggested adjustments, and these are the adjustments that you should be considering if you're the employer. Now, the word reasonable feels a little bit like more of a grey area. What's reasonable and what's not? Well, this is a decision ultimately that an employer should make and should be based on four things. Firstly, will it actually help the employee to be able to work? An employer, of course, shouldn't really be considering a relevant adjustment if it's not going to actually help the employee to reduce the disadvantage that they face due to their disability, so it's got to help. Secondly, is it affordable? Well, an employer obviously isn't expected to implement an adjustment that they can't afford. Thirdly, is it practical? There are adjustments that could be beneficial, but there are also adjustments that are simply just not practical for all sorts of different reasons. And then fourthly, could it harm the health and safety of others? Obviously, if it could, then an employer shouldn't be making that adjustment. What an employer should do is they should document their decision-making process and hopefully include the employee themselves in any discussions about possible reasonable adjustments too, and of course involve them in that decision that they've made.